Before I begin, I would like for everyone to please close their eyes. Imagine this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning on a school night, and your mother abruptly knocks on your door. You can open your eyes now. You're awake. This is no longer a dream. It is a reality. This is the same reality that I faced on October 11, 2016. Half asleep and exhausted, I prepare myself for the last few moments before my sister's death. My calloused feet touch the midnight floor, a contrast to my beating heart pounding out of my chest every step I took towards her deathbed. There she was, right in front of me. What once was a witty 13-year-old who sassed her doctors for allowing my parents to feed her turmeric pills was replaced with a skeleton. One whose figure was emaciated from too few sips of inshore and whose skin was paler than the first snow. I wrapped my arms around hers as her breath slowly became consumed by the ventilator and her beating heart diminuendoed to a pause. I felt the warmth of her hands leave her body as her spirit lifted above the earth and calcified her remains. After a long 4 years, cancer won, but my sister was freed, and I was left with the painful shards of fallout. My name is Valerie Nguyen, and I'm a proud, outspoken childhood cancer advocate. No, if you just didn't hear that, you're probably assuming from my bald head that I was the one who battled countless rounds of chemotherapy, radiation, and the greatest beast ever, and that I'm the brave one. Or that I'm just weird, but I'm not. 4 years ago, on March 18th, 2013, my sister was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a rare form of childhood cancer. Sorry, this is hard. I felt a rare form of childhood cancer. She battled countless rounds of chemotherapy and radiation, and she battled for the time of her life. But she didn't die because she wasn't strong enough. She died because there were few options left out there for her. No, I'm not here to tell you about a sappy story about an innocent young girl who got diagnosed with cancer. I'll spare you the details of how I watched her inject blood thinners in her stomach each night, leaving her with countless amounts of bruises. The real reason I'm here is to tell you that this is real, and this isn't something you can push to the side because it doesn't affect you just yet. This beast doesn't pick its victims in any particular order. It picks on innocent young children like my sister, who once left school more than anything else in the world. Now, I know all of you know that any kid would take the chance to miss school if they had the opportunity to. Now, raise your hand if you're that kid, because I know I certainly was. The sad part is, childhood cancer strips this away from you. It steals away even the smallest moments in your life. From missing even the smallest opportunities, such as seeing your friends at school, to doing homework. Yes, homework, because you're physically drained and exhausted from the countless amounts of treatments. Not to even mention a more physically apparent effect, such as losing hair. An important accessory that we take for granted every day that can even determine how our day went, hence the term good or bad hair day. I vividly remember how much it hurt, looking at her hurt. From the countless rounds of chemotherapy that made me her designated barf bucket holder, to amputations that eventually took away her left arm. Regardless of all of that, she was a silly, charismatic, yet considerate young girl. Regardless how she was feeling, she would always muster up the courage to make a snarky comment. This was actually like a couple days after she was out of treatment. My cousin took her up to West Virginia, and this is a little kind of like a mini Luray Cavern. And she, even though she was still sick that day, she still made the courage to make that comment, just to give you an idea of how snarky she was. Regardless of how she was feeling, she would always present the best of herself. She was the brightest soul of my life, and she was the light of my life. And even if the world was toppling upon her, she would always muster up the courage to ask me how my day went. Despite all these amazing characteristics, the world perceived her in a different manner than I did. Kids, as we all know it, are mean, especially in middle school. Her short hair made her a boy instead of a spunky character, while her limp labeled her as a handicap. She didn't want cancer to make her the center of her attention. She didn't want cancer to control her life, but sadly it did just that. It turned her bright soul into one of her wicked witch. The truth is, childhood cancer is falsely advertised on TV as smiling young children with bald heads having a time of their life with their celebrities. But the truth is, it's the complete opposite of that. It is the constant glares and looks that others give these children that hurt more than any dose of chemotherapy. You would think that the pain of amputation is greater than the opinions of others, right? Well, the truth is, no one wants to be defined with cancer, and no one wants to be controlled by it in the first place. I mean, who wants to have cancer in the first place? If we truly care about our loved ones, we should see them in the light they want to be perceived as. Underneath all the physical appearances, these are the same people that we've shared so many memories with, countless amount of laughs with, so why should disease change all of that? If we're ignorant to our actions, we're only adding to cancer's ever-growing flame. To combat this, we must first educate ourselves. Now, I'm not saying overnight everyone has to become a pediatric oncologist to cure childhood cancer patients. But what I'm saying is that there are small things that we can do in all of our lives to improve the lives of others around us. To begin, we must first break the omnipresent mindset of thinking that this won't ever affect us. Ask yourself this: what has been the physically most painful moment of your life? I don't know about you, but for me, it was the mere 2-second jab of the needle breaking the epidermis of my skin in the doctor's office. For childhood cancer patients, it goes beyond just that. Needles become a daily part of the routine, along with nausea, constant headaches, and pain, just to name a few. It is also the pain of isolation, ostracization from friends and families, and constantly plastering a fake smile to avoid being thrown at yet another pity party. But more broadly speaking, it's the pain of isolation. A study from BYU suggests that this isolation might even be more deadly than cancer itself. With this in mind, it's important to spend time with their loved ones, whether they're fighting for every breath of their life or if there's simply nothing wrong with their lives. Time, as we all know it, is precious, and we never know when anyone's ever going to take their last breath in life. Although I missed out a lot on my high school life, from attending football games to spending time with my friends to even homecoming dances, I'm so incredibly thankful to have spent those moments instead of with my sister, because now I don't live a life of what ifs. And I'm really thankful, and I hope you guys would all do the same, because no one ever wants to live a life of what ifs. Furthermore, when you're spending time with your loved ones, ensure that you aren't just listening to hear, but that you're listening to understand. Some of the most important life lessons that I've implemented in my life today, I learned from just spending time with my sister, treating her like any other sister would have. It's important that these people are perceived in the light that they want to be seen as, because no one wants to be defined by a disease that they can't control in the first place. Empathizing and sympathizing isn't enough. The most important thing that we can do is to stand up for these children and to do our part, whether it's big or small. The truth is, cancer doesn't care at all how many people love you or how badly you want to live. It doesn't even care about how strong you've been fighting. After 4 incredibly long years, my sister fought for every single breath of her life. But that wasn't enough. And it's not because she wasn't strong enough, it was because there are too few treatments out there for childhood cancer patients. What is happening today is the same thing that happened 30 years ago and even 50 years ago, because no one is trying hard enough to cure these children. It's so depressing. We're too wrapped up in our first world issues, from our looks to our rat races, that we forget there's a whole world revolving around us. From forgetting to check on our sick friends to even pulling out a single dollar to donate at Tropical Smoothies Free Smoothie Day for childhood cancer patients. This is ignorance at our doorstep, and if we aren't doing something about it, we're only adding to the issue. The truth is, Cecilia could have been your friend. She could have been your classmate. She could have been your student. She could have been your neighbor or just a passerby smile. Because of childhood cancer, there's one less Cecilia in this world. There's one more empty seat, one less paper to grade, but one more hole in all of our hearts. But the sad part is, Cecilia's story isn't rare. Each year, over 263,000 children are diagnosed with childhood cancer. And their parents are now burying their own children while siblings have to live a life wondering what it's like to live without a best friend. If we don't do anything about it as able-bodied people, then only more children will die. Because we aren't wrapped up in this own race, and because we are living our normal lives and we're healthy and happy, we should be standing up for these children, because the families, to be completely honest, are too wrapped up and exhausted to be fighting for their own children. Together, we can end apathy, and together, hopefully, there'll be one more Cecilia in this world. Thank you.